Well, good evening and welcome to the People's Zoom Readers Theater tribute to the Martin Luther King Day of Service. We know it's been a very busy day with lots of excellent activities to honor Dr. King, so we're very glad that you chose to join us tonight. We also know it's a very stressful time for a variety of reasons, but all of us here believe that coming together and supporting each other is the best way to not only survive, but thrive as we try to rescue our country in 2026. So thank you for coming, and please stay for our follow-up discussion and share your thoughts with us later. And now, let's begin.
Sarah and I thank you for coming. I know you're all very busy, but Martin Luther King Day of Service is here. And because the current administration in Washington is trying its best to stifle our voices, erase our history, and demote the significance of Dr. King's birthday, we must respond with even more vigor than usual. I can only imagine what Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, and others would have to say to all of us who are despondent over the current situation. Like many of you, I'm tired of trying to explain the plight of Black people in America. I'm tired of explaining how systemic racism, persistent occupational segregation, hiring discrimination, and redlining have prevented Black people from achieving the equality promised. Diversity, equality, and inclusion are not bad words. When they inspired more opportunities and better treatment for people of all backgrounds, races, and religious and sexual identity, they made sense. They still do. Unfortunately, in many cases, the policies seem to sideline people who had earned the position they had created. More isolation and resentment. In my opinion, productive changes were possible if not for the inevitable backlash that was exacerbated by Trump and his cohorts. We have seen how Trump has used these words to turn people against us. But we can't let Trump have the last word.
I agree, but I'm tired.
Lila, I know how much time you spent on the last election. I know you're tired. I feel the same way. I also know there's much to be done, and I know that sitting around crying and complaining will get us nowhere.
Sister, even you must wonder, what's the point? Things were never as good as we wanted to believe they were. Trump and his people have opened the proverbial Pandora's box, and now every racist, every angry person feels empowered to say and do anything, regardless of the emotional and even physical harm it could cause.
Archie, I can't deny what you're saying, but that can't matter. We got to stay involved. Try to remember the way things were, the unspeakable crimes against humanity that our leaders have endured to get us as far as we got. Maybe we need to remind ourselves of these champions, of the things they did and their words that have inspired so many of our ancestors, our families, to continue the fight.
Dante, you are so right. We need to hear those words. Remind us of the people who never gave up despite seemingly insurmountable obstacles.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking for Martin Luther King Day, all of us here should prepare a few lines that describe our champions. Let's tell our audience who they are. Share some of their iconic words that lit a fire under many of us and compelled a people who had little hope to keep going.
I'm grateful, Sarah, that you like my idea. We simply can't give up. We owe it to our leaders who came before us. We owe it to our children and grandchildren. Layla and Jackie, I know Kamala Harris's defeat was a very harsh blow to you, to all of us who campaigned here and traveled across the country trying to wake people up to Trump's lies and highlight the genuine promises that Kamala articulated every single day of her candidacy. I get it.
I get it too. I can still remember watching that amazing convention from my hotel room, cheering every speaker on, believing in my soul that we would win and we could help move this country forward. Yes, I really believed that.
Her defeat was a harsh reminder of how far we still must go. And considering who her opponent was, it's still hard for me to accept. But now is not the time for regrets or recriminations. I'm ready. Who should we include?
Well, of course, Martin, Rosa Parks.
Perhaps leaders that aren't as spoken about. I think most people think of them as the father and mother of the civil rights movement. What about W.E.B. Du Bois? He's certainly a civil rights hero, too. He's my choice.
Good one. I'm going with Thurgood Marshall.
What do you know about Ella Baker? Anybody? Well, I'll be happy to tell you what I learned about this amazing woman.
I'm interested in Abernathy.
I'll take Ruby Bridges.
Medgar Evers.
James Farmer or Jesse Jackson.
We can't forget John Lewis. And anybody who wants to share, that's fine with me.
What about
Stacey
Stacey Abrams?
I was just thinking about her. Would you like to share Stacey Abrams?
That's fine with me.
I'm excited. We certainly have an abundance of riches to choose from. Feel free to work together on these. I'm looking forward to Martin Luther King's Day of Service when you have a chance to remind us how many good people inspired us and showed us the way.
This is Martin Luther King's Day of Service for all of us at the Community Center. It's an opportunity to bring people together. On several of these days in the past years, I was relatively optimistic. I felt good about the progress we made and the opportunities going forward. Never content, just motivated to do more. But this is a different time. I don't have to enumerate all the backward steps we are being forced to take in our country and how tragically it affects people of color. Sarah?
Thank you, Ed. Well, we've chosen to recommit ourselves to the goal of defeating the negative discourse, the negative executive orders, and the negative approach to our history by dedicating our presentation to men and women who have helped Black people improve their lives and our status in the United States. Members of our community have been asked to use some memorable quotations that should help energize.
While you are watching and listening, take some notes. We will ask you to tell us during the follow-up discussion which civil rights activists inspire you and why. Perhaps you can tell us which quotation you would like to hang on your wall and why it has such meaning for you. You are also welcome to tell us about another civil rights activist that we haven't mentioned and share a quote or two with us. Let's begin. Caleb?
I've chosen W.E.B. Du Bois, an American sociologist, historian, and civil rights activist born on February 23, 1868, in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. I chose Dr. Du Bois because he was a prominent leader in the fight for African American rights. Recently, I discovered that too few people know about him. Dr. Du Bois consistently advocated for full civil rights and higher education for African Americans. In view of his goals, he co-founded the NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. For those of you who may not know, the NAACP is the largest and the oldest civil rights group in America. Its mission in the 21st century is to ensure the political, educational, and social and economic equality rights of all persons. And of course, its mission includes eliminating race-based discrimination. Here are a few of Dr. Du Bois' many memorable quotes. Either the United States will destroy ignorance, or ignorance will destroy the United States. I believe in liberty for all men, the space to stretch their arms and their souls, the right to breathe and the right to vote, the freedom to choose their friends, enjoy the sunshine, and ride on the railroads, uncursed by color, thinking, dreaming, working, as they will in a kingdom of beauty and love.
I also did some research on Dr. Du Bois. Here is one of my favorite quotes. From the very first, it has been the educated and intelligent of the Negro people that have led and elevated the mass, and the sole obstacles that nullified and retarded their efforts were slavery and race prejudice. Well, I certainly agree with that.
I do too, and I'm certain Thurgood Marshall would agree. Justice Thurgood Marshall is one of my heroes. He was appointed to the Supreme Court in 1967 after President Lyndon B. Johnson nominated him and was confirmed by the Senate. Justice Marshall was the first African American Supreme Court justice, and you can be sure he is known for his impactful quotes on justice and civil rights. Here's one of my favorites. The measure of a country's greatness is its ability to retain compassion in time of crisis. Where's that compassion today? I wonder. He also said, today's Constitution is a realistic document of freedom only because of several corrective amendments. Those amendments speak to a sense of decency and fairness that I and other Blacks cherish. I think it would be very helpful if today's Supreme Court remembered Justice Marshall's words.
Justice Marshall also said, if the First Amendment means anything, it means that a state has no business telling a person sitting alone in their house what books they may read or what films they may watch. Tell that to the people who want to ban books.
I very much like his approach to our children. He said, we deal here with the right of all of our children, whatever their race, to an equal start in life and to an equal opportunity to reach their full potential as citizens. Those children who have been denied that right in the past deserve better than we see these fences being thrown up, just thrown up to deny them that right in the future. It's so frustrating.
Amen. I think my choice would agree with that. Her name is Ella Baker. I wonder how many of you here today even heard of Ella Baker? Any hands? Only one? Well, I'm glad I can introduce her to you. I have to admit, I was ignorant of her acts of leadership, but when I read about her, I wanted to know more. She was a pivotal figure in the civil rights movement, known for her commitment to grassroots organizing and advocacy for social justice. I've used her as a role model. Her quotes embody strength, resilience, and a profound belief in the power of collective action. Baker's insights encourage individuals to stand up for their beliefs and empower marginalized voices. Here are a few of her quotes. Give people a chance to work in their own way. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. The future belongs to those who prepare for it today. And it's the people who make the movement, not the people who lead it.
Well, I'm the one who raised her hand. I do know about Ella Baker. I have been inspired by her approach to activism, which was rooted in the belief that ordinary people are capable of extraordinary change. I truly believe that. She was a strong believer in driving movements that empower not just individuals, but entire communities to rise together and fight for justice and equality. So, like you, Jackie, Ella Baker was and still is a role model.
Other quotes I'd like to share. First, the first thing that you have to do is see yourself as a person who can make a difference. And people cannot be freed unless they are encouraged to think for themselves. And we have to build a new world, but we have to build it together.
I choose Dr. Ralph David Abernathy, who was born in 1926 and died in 1990. Also, a civil rights leader and a Baptist minister. He was Dr. King Jr.'s closest confidant. I'm fully confident that most of you know about the mother of the civil rights movement, our dear Rosa Parks, who refused to get off the bus in Montgomery, Alabama. And you probably know how Rosa Parks' refusal was so instrumental in our journey to equal rights. What you may not know is that Dr. Abernathy was instrumental in organizing the Montgomery bus boycott, a 13-month protest which resulted in the U.S. Supreme Court ruling that segregation on public buses was unconstitutional. Dr. Abernathy also led the Southern Christian Leadership Conference after Dr. King's assassination. I'm sure it was very difficult after losing such a dear friend.
I can only imagine what it was like to carry on after Dr. King's death. Well, the person I chose benefited from Dr. King's leadership and provided inspiration for all of us. I feel honored to talk about Ruby Bridges. Yes, Ruby Bridges was clearly a symbol of courage and resilience when, at 6 years old, she integrated an all-white elementary school in New Orleans. I don't know how I would have reacted to the daily mobs that confronted her with racial slurs and threats, and teachers refusing to teach her except one. I read that she never missed a day of school. Amazing! Her experiences and insights have inspired many to reflect on issues of race, equality, and justice. Her powerful quotes on racism and courage include, "Racism is a grown-up disease, and we must stop using our children to spread it." Another inspiring quote is, "Don't follow the path. Go where there is no path and begin the trail." And finally, never judge people by the color of their skin. God makes each of us unique in ways that go much deeper.
Ruby Bridges. Who could not be a fan of hers? But tonight, my hero is Medgar Evers, a United States Army veteran who served in World War II. He was also an American civil rights activist. As the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, first field secretary in Mississippi, he engaged in many critical efforts. They include the overturning of racial segregation at the University of Mississippi, ending the segregation of public facilities, and expanding opportunities for African Americans, including the enforcement of voting rights. Unfortunately, his activism led to his assassination in June 1963. Quite a tragedy. The resulting trials inspired civil rights protests. In fact, his life and death inspired numerous works of art, music, and film. Some of his notable quotes are, "You can kill a man, but you can't kill an idea. As long as God gives me strength to work and try to make things real for my children, I'm going to work for it, even if it means making the ultimate sacrifice," as he clearly did. He also said, "When you hate, the only person that suffers is you, because most of the people you hate don't know it, and the rest don't care."
I'm a fan of his quotes as well. I'd like to share a few. Medgar Evers said, "Freedom has never been free. The Negro has been here in America since 1619, a total of 344 years. He's not going anywhere else. This country is his home. He wants to do his part to help make this city, state, and nation a better place for everyone, regardless of color or race." In my opinion, this is the kind of person we wish were in the White House, a leader who welcomes our diversity and supports inclusion and equity for every American.
Don't get me started. You know, at one time, Jesse Jackson, the person I chose to represent, was a candidate for the Democratic presidential nomination in both 1984 and 1988. He clearly didn't win, but he was a real contender. And I'm happy to say that despite significant health issues, at 84, he is still alive. In addition to being a politician and a renowned civil rights activist, he was also a Baptist minister and the founder of the organization that merged to form the Rainbow Push Coalition. Its mission is to protect, defend, and gain civil rights by leveling the economic and educational playing fields, and to promote peace and justice around the world. What I have always liked about Jesse Jackson are his quotes that emphasize hope, perseverance, and unity. Remember the lines? Keep hope alive. This is something we should be shouting from the rooftops every day. I also appreciated his thinking that, as he said, America is not like a blanket, one piece of unbroken cloth. America is more like a quilt of many pieces, many colors, many sizes, all woven together by a common thread.
One of my favorite Jesse Jackson quotes is, "Never look down on anybody unless you're helping him up." Another quote is, "Whenever everyone is included, everyone wins."
My favorite quote is, "Leaders must be tough enough to fight, tender enough to cry, humble enough to make mistakes, humble enough to admit them, strong enough to absorb the pain, and resilient enough to bounce back and keep on moving."
This quote is on the wall of my bedroom. If my mind can conceive it, if my heart can believe it, I know I can achieve it because I am somebody. Respect me, protect me, never neglect me. I am somebody. My mind is a pearl. I can learn anything in the world. Nobody can save us, from us, for us, but us. I can learn. It is possible. I ought to learn. It is moral. I must learn. It is imperative.
Very powerful. Wow.
Yes, when Jesse Jackson was in his prime, He was quite the man to whip up a crowd with words that elevated the spirit and one's determination to soar.
Now, I would like to remind everybody about another person who has made quite a name for herself. I'm talking about Stacey Abrams. She has quite a resume. American politician, lawyer, voting rights activist, and author. She served in the Georgia House of Representatives from 2007 to 2017, as a minority leader from 2011 to 2017. As a member of the Democratic Party, she founded Fair Fight Action, an organization to address voter suppression. She has spent a great deal of time running for office and helping others, knowing that we can't give up. She said, "We must cease being participants in our own oppression. We will all, at some point, encounter hurdles to gaining access and entry, moving up and conquering self-doubt. But on the other side is the capacity to own opportunity and tell our own story."
Stacey Adams also said, "What's not right is giving credence to bad actions and thereby becoming complicit." Many of you may remember her running in 2018 for governor of Georgia, becoming the first Black woman to win a major party's gubernatorial nomination. Abrams was also the Democratic nominee in 2022 race, but she was again defeated.
I was heartbroken when she lost because she worked so hard campaigning, speaking to everyone who would listen. She poured her heart into her mission. And she should have won because she really represented the needs of the people then and now.
How true. But despite her losses, she still hasn't given up. This quote expresses her thinking. No one born in the minority has the luxury of giving up, even if we do not win enough of the time.
I agree, and I'm sure everybody here will agree, that John Lewis was an equally important civil rights activist. Most regrettably, he died at the age of 80 on July 17th, 2020. What a loss. He was a longtime congressman and lifelong fighter for justice. John Lewis dedicated his life to creating a fairer and more equal world. Remember how he marched on the front lines of the civil rights movement in Selma? Though he had good reason to question the future of our country, he never gave up on the idea that America could be better.
He certainly inspired me with powerful words on justice and activism. His most famous is "Get in good trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America." A quote that is very relevant now. The vote is precious. It is almost sacred. It is the most powerful nonviolent tool we have in democracy.
John Lewis was a remarkable civil rights leader. I carry with me his words. If you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have a moral obligation to do something about it.
Dear friends, John Lewis, Stacey Adams, Jesse Jackson, and all the leaders we have quoted tonight, they're speaking to us. This is no time for anybody to sit back and wait to see what others can do for us, for our country, for the future. We have a right to be sad, even a right to be angry about the outrageous executive orders that are trying to send us back in time. This foolish insistence on erasing our history, removing names of people of color who have earned the right to be known and respected is beyond comprehension.
Scrubbing information from exhibits about Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad? That's crazy. There is no reason, no justification, but we can't just throw up our arms in disgust and retreat. No, no, no. We must work together to put people in position of power who honestly acknowledge our history, honestly appreciate the policies that we have disadvantaged people of color, and who are aware of the cruelty which immigrants are being treated in what was once called a nation of immigrants.
No, there is no time to rest. We must mobilize and educate people who are not familiar with the way our government is supposed to work. We need to introduce our fellow voters with the people running for office who not only respect our rights and needs, but have a commitment to making things better for all Americans. And that means all Americans, period.
Now, it's your turn. Tell us which leader resonates with you. Is there a quote that you carry with you or you can put on your wall? And please tell us why. Or tell us about a leader you appreciate that we didn't mention and why he or she inspires you.
Well, now it's your turn, folks. Thank you for coming, those of you who are here, and thank you for the group, we had very little time to prepare for this, and I'm just amazed at how well everybody did. And I want to thank you all for your efforts, for your suggestions, your thoughts, your time. I feel better. That's all I can tell you. Just being a part of this wonderful group and working with you, it inspires me. So, anybody want to share your thoughts? Tell us somebody that you appreciate that we didn't mention. There are so many. Susan?
Well, first of all, it was a wonderful presentation, so thank you. I was born just 7 years after John Lewis, so I was very aware of him throughout most of my life, adult life for sure. My brother and I have always said that the greatest gift our parents gave us was from the get-go. They taught us to love, respect, understand everything, people from all different backgrounds. And when we had Jewish holidays, we always had guests all around our table from different races and different religions, and we were always invited to their homes. And I think that was very unique in that time, and we will be forever grateful to my mother and father for doing that for us. But John Lewis probably is, they were all heroes, but he really walked the walk. He never talked the talk. Everything he said, he enacted in real life, sincerely and straight from his heart. And for the last 18 years of my career, I was the head of a Jewish middle school, and we partnered with a Muslim school. And for every Martin Luther King Day, we did something unique and different, and those memories will never fade from my heart and my brain. But we tried to emulate all the values of John Lewis and all the other people that you mentioned. This really does raise my spirits. I don't know what to say about what's going on today. There are no words, and I don't want to lessen the quality of what you presented by starting to talk about Mr. Trump, as I call him to my two grandchildren. I also think that education, as an educator, education is part of what it's all about. Education has gone down the toilet in the United States, and we all know what's going on with higher education with President Trump. It's all about education. If you throw education out the window, I don't know what's going to happen. So in my small way, I have my grandchildren for at least 24 hours every weekend. They're 11 and 8. And I try to initiate these discussions in the proper way on the appropriate level so that they will learn how to engage in conversations, listen to their peers and others, learn how to listen and appreciate what others are saying. Because when you close everyone out, you become 10 times more ignorant than you already are. I could go on and on, but that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you. That's excellent. Thank you. Okay,
Mhm.
somebody else like to say something? Yes, so Toby.
She's
Just have
muted.
to unmute.
Okay.
Wow, thank you all for that list of people that really, really tremendous list. I would I just want to say something about the song because this is really what I was thinking of. The poem was written by one person and the actual music was written by another person. It was this incredible combination of stirring words and stirring music. I cry every time I hear it, and today I got to hear it twice. So I wanted to say I was at the Philadelphia Orchestra Martin Luther King concert today, and for the first time, I think they held it in the Kimmel Center in the Marian Anderson Hall,
Mm.
which was just recently renamed Marian Anderson Hall. The contralto, of course, from the 20th century, who was not allowed to sing at the DAR Daughters of the American Revolution Constitution Hall concert hall. And I grew up in that area, and that hall actually was the premier place to see concerts when I was growing up. I mean, I saw lots of concerts there, so it has a lot of memories for me, and they have since mended their ways because they would not let her sing there. And of course, she then ended up singing at Lincoln Memorial and then at Carnegie Hall, and with the Metropolitan Opera, was the first African American woman to sing for the Metropolitan Opera. And so it's really incredible to go into a concert hall with her name on it. And they used to for a while they had some information in the Kimmel Center about her, but I really wanted to say, not that there's a quote, but knowing that that voice and that her name is prominently part of Philadelphia history and Philadelphia current. And then I wanted to say one of the things that happened was at the concerts they always have the choirs from Girard College High School Choir, and they have the School of Performing Arts. So there's like 100 young people in that choir space in the hall, and they sang a song at the end. Basically, the theme of the song was "We Need More Love." So I wanted to add that. That to me, that was like, it had other words, but really they just kept saying, we young people, we young people, we need more love, please. There was a kind of it was a joy to it, but also a pleading to it. So that really, they're my heroes today because of their ability to sing that fervent need and fervent wish. And through music, we often are able to hear things that we can't hear when people are talking at us or to us. So my heroes are the musicians of the world and the musicians of the civil rights movement throughout history, up until today. So thank you. That it was a wonderful concert. If you ever have a chance to go, it's free. Next, they have it, and it's a spectacular event of people coming together. So that's what I wanted to say for my heroes.
That's great. Thank you, Toby. That's wonderful. Mike Weiss?
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to one of the things that we brought up in the script here about electing people who really are still in touch with the message of Dr. King and all of the wonderful civil rights leaders that preceded us. And I'm thinking in particular of Jasmine Crockett, who serves in the U.S. House of Representatives, and who not only has an enormously powerful voice, but an absolutely stunning intellect. And she makes her point, stands up against a lot of the trolls who are trying to change our culture and take us back to the 18th century or before, I don't know. And she's really a kind of a role model in my mind, and someone who, in some way, we ought to be encouraging more like her to really run for public office and then support her and those who really follow her. So I just wanted to say that.
She's amazing. That also brings up, Mike, too, the South Carolina's Congressman Jim Clyburn, who just came out with a new book, if anyone's heard of it, called The First Eight. It chronicles follows the first 8 Black South Carolinian Black congressmen since the Civil War. So you're right. I'm so glad we recognized previous folks, and Stacey Adams still going, and Crockett, Jim Clyburn. So I saw him on TV this morning, in fact, and just pulls you right in. And it's I'm so glad you mentioned that, because we still have folks today that current times need to be also recognized and applauded and supported. So
yeah, and I don't think we should forget Barack Obama.
There you go.
Yes,
there you go.
also I wanted to
For
mention
any number
him.
of reasons, is
Yeah.
a representative that just is not only, a past president, but continues to be an outspoken advocate. And, I think what we all know and feel, what his contribution is and continues to be. And, I think that's something we should be very proud of.
Indeed.
This is true. And I also found a quote I used once for my essay I did in 2020 back in Ukraine. I used his quote that said, dropping bombs just to drop bombs is perhaps the most absurd way to use force and to show your power. And I feel like even today, this meaning is so powerful. And also, when I wrote my thesis for Drexel, I used his Affordable Care Act as an example of a law that abstained and still lives, even despite of the pushback that was during the first Trump administration, because people and public benefited so much from this law, and it stays and still acts and helps a lot of low income people and communities to get the health care they deserve. So this is very important.
Terrific.
And thank you for the presentation. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, big pleasure.
Hi. You can't see me, but this is Diane. I'm so happy that I'm happy that y'all did that, because we had people before them that were the forerunners. These are just some of the people who are picking up the baton. But our voice has power, and we have to utilize our voice as our power, because we're giving them too much authority. And we just have to realize where we fit into the puzzle, so we can pick up the baton and run with it as well. So all of them had struggles, but they persevered. We all have struggles, but we got to persevere. So let us pick up the baton and let us run the race, because it's not over. We're giving them too much credit. Yes, we got the forerunners, but where do we fit in the puzzle? What can we do to make things different? So education is key. So we can't rely, we got to really educate ourselves. And if they're not educated, because our young kids are the ones going to run the nation. And if we don't educate them, where does that leave us? That's putting us back. We're supposed to progress, not regress. So we don't want to do that. So we got to take a hold of these children. Pull them from this technology. AI is taking their brains. There's no creativity anymore. They're not thinking for themselves. So we want to make sure they're able to think, comprehend, and run, because we got to start educating them. Because if we don't leave our legacy with them, where would it go? What's going to happen? So education is key, and our voice has power.
Thank you, Diane. And your voice has power. And those of you who can see, Diane is a very active member here. She's brought a lot of people in. She lives what she says. She has been so active, and so many of you who are here today, reading captains, working with children in the inner city every day, going to the zoo, handing out books to children. You are doing it, and all of us will do whatever we can. But that's one of the great, I think, joys of being here together. Every single person I know here is doing something, and we're trying to set good examples, and we just have to keep going. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being with us, Diane. Somebody else would like to say something? Yes, Amy, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I'm really glad I was able to participate today. The quotes were amazing. My attention is that those quotes really relate to many different people who are not being treated fairly. It could be due to your sexual orientation, your religious affiliation, and they all fit. And really the bottom line is we all have to work together to try to make the world a more acceptable and a better place. And I'm speaking as a Jew, so some of them relate. It's a very sad state of affairs.
Yeah, well said. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else have something to say?
I'd like to say something. First of all, thank you all. Every single person that you lifted up, or people, the quotes were so inspiring and so important. I feel so lucky as an American to have had the leaders that we've had in this country, every single person. W.E.B. Du Bois is somebody, I'm glad you lifted up. He was he's been very influential. His idea of the double consciousness that oppressed people have internalized was very important to me and to a lot of people I know. I think that his brilliance and his intellectualism and intellectual capacity was really, really a gift to our country, our people. But I wanted to lift up also today, who I've been thinking about is Ruby Freeman and her daughter Shay Moss. The Fulton County Board of Elections, the workers that were targeted by Trump and the administration for doing their part in certifying the legitimate election, and were just held. They were targeted by the president of the United States, and their lives were changed, and they continued to fight on. And the quote that I love that Shay Moss said was, "My mother and I did not seek out the spotlight. We just wanted to do our part to make democracy work well for everyone." And I thought, that just the everyday person hero who does that is just so important. That's what we can do now. So they're the ones that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention today, and very grateful for their courage and just their courage. Yeah.
Excellent examples. I wish I had thought of them. You're absolutely right. And I want to point out that you introduced me to Dr. Du Bois. You had a graduate student who had a presentation at Drexel.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I had never heard of him until I heard your student giving that presentation. And I remembered that when I was looking for who we should include.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So anybody else would like to share? Have somebody you'd like to tell us about?
I just want to just thank everyone for such an amazing presentation, and just so inspirational, and just thinking about the privilege of playing Ruby, and just her amazing courage at such a young age, just very inspirational. And I think we have to just continue to motivate and give voice and opportunity and room and space for young people to lift up their voices and to stand up and empower them and encourage them, because they are the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for being with us. I know you've got a busy schedule, but you made it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I would just like to add someone we know just died this week, whose name basically went unknown because Rosa Parks was chosen to be the spokesperson. But Claudette Colvin, at age 15, I think, 15, she was a teenager, basically on her own, did the same thing as Rosa Parks. And she just died at age 86. So, and it was wonderful. It was moving to me that her name was finally, in some ways, finally raised up that way, lifted up, for us to remember that Rosa Parks stood on the shoulders of many, many people to get to be that person that we then, not used, but presented as a way in, as a window into actually changing some things in the United States.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you. Anybody else like to share something? Somebody? Okay, well, thank you all very much for coming, and for those who participated. Again, you inspire me, and it's a privilege to be part of this group. So thank you. Let us all work together. We have a big job ahead of us, folks.
Keep
Gotta
hope alive.
That's right. Got to keep hope alive. Thank you so much. Be well and be
Take
safe.
care, everyone.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye.
And thank you, Yvonne.
Yes, thanks,
Thank you,
Yvonne.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good to see you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.